Starting off at number 10 now, we have St. Padre Pio. In 2002, the statue of Padre Pio was said to begin shedding tears that some people believed was actually blood. A passerby first noticed it and alerted the local priest. They were unable to wipe away this red substance leaking from the eyes of the statue. As news travelled of this suspected miracle, hundreds came to see the statue in person. This happened just a few months before the Pope made Padre Pio a saint. Some people said this was the reason for this supernatural occurrence. At number 9 now, we have Cochabamba. During Holy Week in 1995, a church in Cochabamba, Bolivia noticed that their statue of Jesus appeared to be shedding tears of blood. Believers claimed that the tears were tested in an Australian lab and found to contain real human blood. They also said the statue was totally hollow, which was proof that there was no tampering going on. According to locals, the Cochabamba Christ has wept blood every Good Friday since. At number 8 now, we have Los Naranjos. In April 2017, a video emerged online appearing to show the Virgin Mary crying tears of blood. The statue belonged to a man in the town of Los Naranjos in Argentina. The owner of the statue said he noticed the blood in March and said that Mary had visited him in a dream. The statue was then transferred to the local church for pilgrims to visit. An investigation was launched to look for a natural explanation before it was declared as a miracle. The local priest reminded everyone though to not jump to any conclusions. At number 7 now, we have Perth. In 2002, scientists in Australia failed to find the source of tears flowing from the eyes of a statue of the Virgin Mary. The statue was on display in a Catholic church in Perth. It was bought by Padre Pio from Bangkok 8 years before. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary until one day it started dripping with a rose-scented oil-like substance. Visitors came from all over Australia to see it for themselves. The priest and many others claimed it was a miracle, but scientists conducted studies to determine exactly what this liquid was. Moving on to number 6 now, we have Fresno. In May 2016, Maria Cardenas from Fresno, California said her statue of Mary had been crying. She said it all started a year and a half before when her cousin died. Apparently, Maria came home one day and said the statue's eyes were welling up with a liquid. She said it was tears, others said it could have been actual blood. Maria said she doesn't really understand why the statue was doing that, but believes it could be linked to her cousin's death. Overall, she saw the crying as something good. At number 5 now, we have La Madonna. In February 95, the La Madonna statue, or Little Madonna, was said to weep tears of blood in the town of Pantano, Italy. The statue belonged to Fabio Gregori. He said that one morning he heard his 6-year-old daughter cry out that the statue was crying blood. Over the next few days, the crying was witnessed by dozens of witnesses, both believers and not. A commission of theologians claimed it as a supernatural event. Alright, at number 4 now guys, we have Jalisco. In November 2016, a crying statue of the Virgin Mary was reported in the town of Jalisco in Mexico. A man there told TV crews that he saw blood coming out of the statue's glass eyes. This came just a few months after the preserved body of a child saint supposedly opened her eyes in the very same town. Alright, at number 3 now, we have Sacramento. In 2005, it was reported that the Vietnamese Catholic Church in Sacramento had a statue of Mary that was said to cry blood. The priest washed off what he assumed were just stains, but 10 days later they reappeared. The statue is now placed outside the church for pilgrims to visit. Over the years, the rain rendered the tears as just a small smudge on the statue's face. Still, that doesn't stop people from visiting the statue even to this day. Moving on to number 2 now, we have Akita. In 1973, a convent in Akita, Japan reported a strange happening with their statue of the Virgin Mary. A nun began having holy visions of angels and showed signs of stigmata on her hands, the same wounds that Jesus received during crucifixion. Blood also poured out from the statue's palms. Over the next 2 years, the statue was said to have produced rose-scented sweat and wept tears of blood 101 times, often in front of believers and even a television audience. And finally, number 1 now, we have another statue of Mary. In August 2016, it was reported that a statue of the Virgin Mary in Bolivia had been crying blood. The local priest claimed that the Virgin Mary statue was bleeding from its eyes and hands. Samples of the substance were sent off to be tested to see if it really was human blood. Churchgoers were hoping that this would be enough for the Vatican to announce it as a miracle.
Starting us off at number 10 is the bleeding hairline. This one had me shook honestly, but in hindsight it really doesn't take much for me to be shook. Back in 2012 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Mr. Doan was mowing his lawn when he saw something incredulous. He owned a Virgin Mary holding baby Jesus sculpture and she was bleeding from her temple. He touched it and realized it really was wet and it really was coming from her hairline. The couple told Channel 13 News they believed it was a message from God and that after telling all her neighbors what happened, they all spent the night praying to the sculpture. Even people not living in their neighborhood came to to see the miracle in person. Even a professor of religious studies at Louisiana University said it may have happened because of the worshippers' lifetime devotion. Either way, what do you guys think? Hoax or real? Let me know in the comments below. Coming in at number 9 is the haunting of Hill House. Now I didn't want to confine this list to just real life sculptures, so I decided to throw this Easter egg in there as well. Now early on in the Haunting of Hill House series, I think this happens in around episode 2 or 3, the power in the house goes out and Nell disappears, so the family set off to look for her in the house. Olivia, flashlight in hand, enters a bedroom on the 2nd floor that has 2 standing sculptures on either side. She goes in and calls out Nellie, and as the camera pans to her, you can see the sculptures behind her now. And not many people noticed this, but the sculpture on the left of her was looking straight ahead when she walked into the room, but when the camera pans, the sculpture is actually looking straight at Olivia. Now I know it's a scary show and that these things tend to happen, but it was such a subtle detail that rarely anyone saw it, but if you're a fan of the show, you're welcome. At number 8 we have the moving kids. Now this one is creepy as hell, you guys. So this article by Maggie Watson claims that an anonymous woman decided to move out of the city and move into the suburbs because she felt it was safer to raise her kids there. As a city-raised kid, I disagree with this anonymous woman. We're still okay as well. But anyway, thinking the suburbs were safe was a mistake. Slowly but surely, sculptures started appearing on her lawn outside her house, and she had no idea who was putting them there. At first she thought it was a prank from kids on her street, but it wasn't. All the sculptures were of little kids. The first were 2 holding a bowl of some kind while sitting down, the next was a little boy kneeling on one leg, and the next one was a tiny girl holding a bowl as well. It was just weird. The woman took the whole thing as a bad omen since a new sculpture was on her lawn literally every day without fail. But every morning the statues would be closer to the house than the night before, kinda like they were moving overnight when no one could see them. The most recent sculpture showed up right outside her doorstep. Like honestly, just imagine waking up and going to drop your kids off at school, and the first thing you see when you open the door is a small smiling sculpture of a girl. It's creepy, you can't deny that. Filling our number 7 slot is the Toronto series. I was so surprised to find this story because A, I live in Toronto, B, I go to the waterfront all the time, and C, I never even saw any of these sculptures. So back in 2016, the arrival sculptures arrived at Island Park in Toronto. The first one was the jubilant man who has his arms in the air hoping for something. The second is Orphan Boy, which is a little boy with his hands like this and looking just all around melancholy. The third is Pregnant Woman, which is basically a groaning woman holding her belly. We have the cringy apprehensive man, and finally the woman on ground, who's basically a dead woman who low-key looks like a recovered body from Pompeii. I kid you not, she looks exactly like that. All the sculptures are made of bronze, and many have claimed to see the dead woman move under the quilt or blanket sculpted on top of her. The sculptures made by Rowan Giuseppe were designed to honor the great famine that happened in the late 1840s in Ireland. People have speculated that the wandering souls of those who died in the famine went into that sculpture and that's why it moves. I think that's a bit of a reach, but what do you guys think? Now at number 6 are the lions. Lions are my favorite animals, and for many reasons. Number 1, they're the king of the jungle. Number 2, I'm a Leo, so hello. 3, I love every type of feline. I'm a cat lady, you guys all know this, so a lion is just like the epitome of a feline. Either way, at the University of Cincinnati, there are 2 stone lion sculptures standing outside McMicken Hall. Now McMicken isn't a residence hall, it's strictly for classes and faculty members' offices. But with 21 departments operating inside of it, students are going in and out like nobody's business. Many students have reported hearing a growl at night, and clearly there's no rogue escaped lion near the campus, so it had to have come from the sculptures. Legend has it, or rather the students have speculated, that the sculptures only move if a cheetah or a virgin walks past them. For what reason specifically did they say cheetah or virgin? Only God knows. Coming in at number 5 is the smile. Now this one is such a tiny change, I had to watch the video a billion times to actually catch it. But back in 2016, at a church in Kuala Lumpur lies a sculpture of the Virgin Mary. Churchgoers claim the sculpture not only smiled, it moved its eyes and it grew taller. During a Sunday mass, the priest himself noticed the miracle and told everyone to look at her. She's looking at us, she had tears in her eyes. He went on to tell reporters that when they all started singing Ave Maria, she started smiling and moving her lips. Now she's made from fiberglass, but onlookers said she apparently not only turned into porcelain, but she grew 3 inches taller. I'm sorry? Like, I can suspend my disbelief enough and believe, okay, maybe she smiled, but to transform into another material and grow? Nah, I just feel like I'm on an episode of Punk'd right now. Ashton, come out already. At number four are the scented tears. Way back in 2002 in Perth, a fiberglass Virgin Mary started crying, but her tears smelled oddly nice. Her owner brought her back from Bangkok and announced to the media that her sculpture was crying, so a mass gathered at the small church she's located in to see it in person. Even the Archbishop of Perth believed the tears to be authentic, saying he thought it was a hoax at first but saw it in person and was taken aback. To get to the bottom of this so-called miracle, scientists took samples of her tears to try and find out either what they were or where they were coming from. After x-raying the whole sculpture, they found no cavities or liquid inside of her. One of the local priests in Perth claimed if you use the tears as an oil, it can heal the sick. I mean, I don't know how useful that made-up remedy is, pal, but we salute you for trying your medieval ways. Filling our number 3 slot is Benjamin Franklin. Near the library of the American Philosophical Society in Philadelphia, there's a huge sculpture of Benjamin Franklin, which isn't really a surprise since he was one of the people who founded the society in 1743. Now, I could tell you a lot more, but I'm not about to launch into a 2-minute history lecture about the society, even though I could, but I'll save you guys the boredom. By the late 19th century, after Franklin had died, many saw his ghost near the library just wandering around and I guess making sure people were learning efficiently. Legend has it that his statue comes to life and dances in the streets at night, and people who had seen it way back when had no way of recording or capturing that moment, so really it's all just hearsay. Like they say in the 21st century, pics or it didn't happen. Now at number 2 is the Doll's House. This is another one located very near to me, which took me by surprise as well, but also I'm low-key totally not mad at it. Located in Niagara Falls, the Canadian side, not the American side, the Doll's House was built in 1835 and it did a lot more than just house inanimate dolls. Apparently the house had a tunnel underneath it where slaves would be received after escaping from the American side. Apparently in one of these escapades, a young girl drowned in a well deep below the house. After that point, various sculptures inside the Doll's House would start moving all on their own, and a ghost of a girl carrying lilacs manifests near the staircase. Now I don't know who the ghost is, but I'm assuming she's the one who died in the well, unless there are more people that died that I don't know of. The house also weirdly always smells like lilacs despite none being on the property. The sculptures are said to have moved on CCTV footage, and the owner of the house has frequently found them in a different place from the night before. Now let me tell you something I don't do. I don't do creepy dolls, I don't do moving sculpture dolls, and I don't do tomatoes. Hate them. I just hate them. I like ketchup though. And finally, at number 1 is Witch Bonnie. There are so many stories surrounding Witch Bonnie's origins, it's actually insane. Some claim she was a mill girl, others say she was hanged during the Salem witch trials, no one really knows. Her gravestone is located at Lowell Cemetery in Massachusetts, and it bears the names of her whole family. The cemetery is also home to the Witch Bonnie sculpture. Now her arms are outstretched, holding a sheet above her head and behind her. It looks like the sheet is majestically just billowing in the wind. Her eyes are staring at the sky, and there's a black tear under her left eye. Now in terms of outfit, she's wearing a toga sort of off-shouldered dress, and that lets you see the top parts of her breasts. Now legend has it that every October her dress starts getting lowered day by day, and by Halloween her breasts are fully exposed. Now that is scandalous. Expose them nipples, girl. But on a real note, Wiccans leave offerings for her every Halloween and congregate there, so surely if this did happen, someone would have seen it. Maybe Wiccans have seen it but are just choosing to keep it secret in their community. Who really knows?
Starting off at number 10 now, we have Jesus. This video comes from the Chapel of Saltillo in Mexico. The camera person is filming a statue of Jesus which is inside a glass box. As the camera zooms in, this happens. Jesus appears to open his eyes. The camera then pans off to the right for a moment, and after a few seconds, Jesus' eyes close. This clip blew up on social media, with some people saying it was a miracle, other people said there had to be some sort of explanation for it, but everyone was a little bit creeped out. One investigator said the clip had been examined for weeks by 20 different specialists who found no evidence that it had been tampered with. However, there have been many videos uploaded online claiming to prove that it is a fake. You guys should check it out and let me know what you think. At number 9 now, we have Snow White. Now not much is known about this clip you're about to see, which kinda makes it creepier in a way. I can tell you that it's from Mexico during the 1990s. The person filming appears to be visiting some sort of kids theme park or exhibition at night that contains statues. He walks up to the Snow White one, apparently transfixed by just how creepy it looks. Well, it got a lot creepier when this happened. What? Obviously, the guy freaked out, I would too. He ran away, so we never got another look at Snow White. The whole thing is still a mystery. Perhaps that's why this clip has been viewed over 500,000 times. Alright, at number 8 now, we have the ancient Egyptian. I'm sure you guys have all heard of the ancient Egyptian curses, right? They say that removing artifacts from the tombs there will bring terror and death to those involved. Well, staff at the Manchester Museum in England were a little bit nervous when they noticed one of their statues appeared to have moved. They installed a camera to watch it, and this is what they saw. One of their 3,800-year-old statues was slowly spinning round throughout the day as the museum's visitors streamed by. They think the reason was that the visitors' footsteps had caused minute vibrations that nudged the statue out of place. Other people still argue that this wouldn't be possible, and it's actually a sign of some sort of ancient curse. Coming in at number 7 now, we have the moving Buddha, or Buddha, I guess, if you're North American. In 2013, reports started coming out from Malaysia that there were moving Buddhist statues. Video was taken by the crowds who witnessed the event. They say it shows one statue moving its lips and blinking. Soon after that, other statues started to do the same. Apparently they were even moving their fingers though at one point, although we don't get to see that in the video. Critics of this say that the video could have been manipulated, especially as it is such poor quality. However, the crowds of people there that day might have something to say about that. What do you guys think? Next up at number 6 now, we have the floating statue. In the summer of 1985, 100,000 people visited a statue of Mary in a small Irish village. The statue was nothing out of the ordinary until a few locals there said they had seen it floating in the air. Then, a few dozen people showed up. Then hundreds and finally thousands went to see this event. When it all started, the local police sergeant was very skeptical. He went down there to check it out, and sure enough, there it was. Floating. He was convinced it must have been a hoax, something to do with wires perhaps. He went and checked behind the statue and found nothing. When he tried to move the statue himself, it wouldn't even budge. Now critics say there isn't enough evidence for this and that it could have actually been a trick of the light. Interesting story either way. Coming in at number 5 now, we have Sai Baba. Now he was an Indian spiritual master who is known to Indian Hindus and Muslims for his teachings on shunning materialism and living a life of love and inner peace. In 2016, a statue of him appeared to practice these very teachings. Whenever believers would put garlands of flowers on him to pay their respects, it would always end up broken off from him. The temple owners set up a camera, and this is what they saw. Now critics say the explanation for this is simple, it's just gravity. The garlands were simply slipping off the statue. But believers still say you can clearly see the statue's shoulders moving. You guys have seen the clip now, what do you make of it? Alright, next up at number 4 now, we have Crying Mary. In early 2017, in the town of Los Naranjos in Argentina, a statue of the Virgin Mary appeared to cry blood. Now here is the video showing the statue in question. Some locals called it a miracle, while others said it was some kind of punishment and they were very scared. Priest Ricardo Quiroga urged everyone to remain calm, but also said if she cries again, we need to do something at a high level in the church. An investigation team was launched to find out whether this phenomenon was a hoax or a potential miracle. Alright, coming out number 3 now, we have Jesus 2. Yeah, I'm going to call this one Jesus 2 because we've already had a Jesus one. In April 2017, a video from Mexico started circulating online of a statue of Jesus that appeared to move during a service. This happened in the state of Jalisco during their Good Friday Mass. See what you think. Did you guys catch that? Well, here it is in slow motion. Immediately, members of the church started saying it was a miracle. However, even the priest stayed skeptical and said it could have been the ropes that hold the statue up coming loose. Coming in at number 2 now, we have jinn. Now a jinn is a supernatural creature in Arabic mythology. It's where we get our word genie from. They are said to be good, neutral, or evil, just like humans. Here we have a video uploaded in June 2017 that claims to show a jinn possessing a Hindu statue through its eyes. Now as you watch the clip, notice how the statue's eyes appear to move, almost as if it was watching the camera person or even the person watching this video. One of the most creepy things about this video is that there is little explanation for who filmed it or even what happened to them after the video cut off. Some critics claim it's an optical illusion, while others agree with the uploader that we're seeing something demonic in this video. And finally, at number 1 now, we have the Cloak. This clip comes from early 2016 in Vietnam. Locals in Tapao noticed that a statue of Mary on top of a hill appeared to be moving. Here you can see the clip with the subtitles of what they are saying. Now they appear to be focused on her moving cloak. It does appear to move, that's for sure, but this is an incredibly grainy piece of footage. Aside from the video, all we really have to go on is the adamant reactions of the people who witnessed this and the verifying by other locals that this is in fact a known solid statue. The debate around this video is part of the reason that it has amassed over 700,000 views. What do you guys think?
Number 10, I'm still shocked and appalled by this, but at the same time, it is one of my favourite things to have ever happened ever. We have the Cristiano Ronaldo bust. I don't think I'm ever gonna stop finding images of the 2017 unveiled bust of Cristiano Ronaldo funny. Sculptor Emmanuel Santos just didn't get it right, did he? The bust was commissioned for display at Madeira Airport in Portugal. Ronaldo, of course, is a Portuguese football superstar who now plays for Juventus FC in Italy. The 34-year-old is an absolute superstar, a very well-known face, so I don't know why his face ended up looking like this. Sculptor Santos said, "I wanted to reflect his inner strength when he was preparing to take a free kick or a corner." Instead, to me, he kinda ended up reflecting what the star would look like if he was hit in the face by a bat, but was oddly happy about it. When the football star visited the bust on its grand unveiling day, he actually found it pretty funny. Who wouldn't? I'm glad he's got a sense of humour. Funny as it may have been, many good people of the internet found it scary. Soccer AM tweeted that the bust gets creepier the more you zoom in, which actually, yeah. Others photoshopped him peeping from a drain in the style of Pennywise from It, like peekaboo. Honestly, this is just so funny that I can't even laugh about it anymore because I've laughed about it so much. But trust me, I'm laughing inside. I don't love this at number 9, I really don't. I don't find it funny, I find it creepy. We have the man-eating rabbit. I guess from the title of this point, you probably have a preconception of what this might look like, so let's see if it matches up with your imagination. There we go. To me, this is just classic Czech Republic. This sculpture was created by Adam Turbusek, who says that he was inspired by Francisco de Goya's work, Saturn Devouring His Son. To be honest, I love that piece, it's so dramatic, I laugh every time. Maybe that's not the point, but I find it kind of funny. Turbusek said, "In my sculpture, it is depicting society. I showed it for what it really is. The man is in the grip of the system, he is helpless and sick." It's a very rabbit of Cabernog. Run away! Run away! Coming in at number 8, we have Nightmare Arachnids. I literally just said arachnids to enhance the drama, but still, giant spider statues? Hard no from me. Sculptor Louise Bourgeois created 6 giant spider sculptures in 1997 and has since become the highest paid woman artist in history as a result of a later auction of one of the beasties, one of which had a shocking price tag of $28.2 million. I am really pleased for her and I'm gonna let her finish, but these are some of the scariest sculptures of all time. Honestly, look at that big spider in Washington DC. To me it seems like the start of some kind of apocalypse movie. From 6 spiders to 6 broken men at number 7, we have the Broken Men. That's right, not 1 but 6 creepy statues line the steps heading up the Petrin Hill in Prague. This series of sculptures are very scary and seem to disappear as you walk up the steps, their bodies mutating and splitting open and lacking limbs. Never a party. The collection is as a memorial to the victims of the former communism regime, with a plaque reading that 4,500 people died in prison, 327 were shot trying to escape, and 248 were executed. The stressful thing about these statues is that they appear to decay, which I really don't like. Shall we take a trip to the underworld at number 6? Let's have it. We are seeing the Ghosts of Hell Garden. This is another, I don't know, should we call it a collection? I think we shall. These statues are, I guess they're pretty horrifying, aren't they? Their tongues look like fruit roll-ups, but not even in a fun and tasty way. It's more a, please keep those away from me, stop waggling them way. Blech. Tongues. Tongues are creepy. It seems that these statues are located in Wang Sen Suk Gardens in Bang Sen City in Thailand. The large beings are depicting pretas, hungry ghosts of materialistic people cursed to spend the afterlife in a constant state of famish, craving money, power, fame, sex, or food. Below these hungry ghosts are smaller statues, some of which are being disemboweled, others are being savaged by dogs. I believe one member of the garden party is being boiled alive. I think it's time for me to do my shocked face again. But also grossed out face. It seems that near the statues are little donation boxes to encourage you to give to charity. If you don't, well, then maybe you'll find yourself in this garden for reals. I don't know, is that what they're trying to say? To me this doesn't say donate, it says run far away from the disemboweling dogs. Okay, let's check out of hell and take a trip to a lovely, beautiful garden in upstate New York where a horrifying ghoul of a departed celebrity haunts. Coming in at number 5, we have Scary Lucy. I literally just went to Celeron in New York and stayed right next to the Lucille Ball former haunting ground in a park beside the lovely Chautauqua Harbor Hotel. These days there is a great statue of the iconic Queen of the Bees, but the original Lucille Ball statue was absolutely nightmare-inducing. The statue by New York sculptor Dave Poulin has been dubbed Ugly Lucy and Scary Lucy, and honestly I can see why. She's holding a bottle which is supposed to be Vitamita Vegemin, but kind of looks like a scary drunk bottle. She looks like a scary drunk woman in the park that you don't want to meet. The statue caused so much shock and outrage that it was recently replaced by a much more legit looking piece. What happened to Scary Lucy though? Is she like in someone's basement somewhere? From New York to Ireland next, at number 4 we have the Ferryman's End. This truly horrifying sculpture can be found in Victoria's Way, County Wicklow in Ireland. Making the sculpture arguably scarier is its positioning in an algae covered pool. Blech. Scary statue, scary pool. It seems that there's a sign behind the sculpture that reads, "The ferryman's craft lies dead in the water. Unable to move, he can no longer reach the other shore and touch it. Unable to touch, he cannot become real, identified and fully energized, hence joyful. Unmoving, he sinks and he dies." Great! Do you want a closer look at his face? Here you go. I think that this statue is even scarier than most because it depicts a person stuck in a rut, unable to get themselves out, and honestly, what could be worse? Coming into number 3, we have a statue from the very same garden. We have the Split Man. Ooh, seeing this makes me want to recoil into myself. "Create or die" reads the dagger that the statue figure is using to cut themselves in half with. Yes, they are cutting themselves right through the head. Blech. It seems that the Split Man is illustrating how procrastination and the inability to focus on creativity will result in a life unworthy of living. Create or die. The park seems scary, but also at the same time pretty cool. Victor's Way is a park designed for adults to encourage them to think outside of the box and do some reflecting on the meaning of life, which I can get on board with, but really, is the meaning the splitting? It's too much for me. Oh, hello, I was wondering when a weeping statue would turn up. Coming in at number 2, we have the HASEROT Angel. Okay, so listen, the Doctor Who weeping angels are a work of fiction, albeit brilliant fiction, but you know what? Even though they aren't real, they definitely are scary and they definitely shocked the world. If you are afraid of weeping angels, you may want to steer clear of Lakeview Cemetery in Cleveland, Ohio. Why? Well, there's a life-size bronze statue that appears to cry, like actually cry. Not only that, the statue is depicting the Angel of Death. So, you know, not a great omen. The statue sits leaning on an upside down torch that has been extinguished, symbolizing life that has been, you know, snuffed out. Apparently the shocking statue draws a regular crowd, people who want to come and see her cry. Honestly, I'd rather leave her to it. Also, fun fact for you, the sculptor who made this angel is buried in the same cemetery. Kinda sends a chill up my spine. Whew. Okay, who else could be at number 1 in place of this headline grabbing statue? It's the ultimate scary shocking statue. It's Virgin Mary. She's crying blood. It's a tale as old as time, isn't it? A Virgin Mary statue crying blood. It's the end of times. In August 2018, Frias Mendoza from Argentina claimed that he had a statue that cried blood and even went as far as to capture it on video. He said, "I thought it was some kind of punishment and was scary." He soon made his peace with it though, and thousands of people started flocking to see it in a local church. One skeptical person joked, "The local parish priest must have done a degree in marketing." I mean, it is scary though. Ugh, blood crying Mary. Stop it. Stop it. So guys, that was that. Can we please just get one more look at Cristiano Ronaldo's bust, because it's just too good. All hail the new bronze god. If that started crying, I honestly really would be scared.